Hi and welcome back. I'm Gabrielle from mypizzatoppings.com, and in the last video I talked a lot about intuitive cooking and how I cook without recipes, and I promised that I would come back and show you how to actually use that information in the kitchen to make real food. So today I'm going to make a sauce, and what I'm going to show you how to do is make the roux. And the roux is basically the thickening agent for any sauce that you want to make. And I'll show you how to be creative with it. And I'm going to actually make a sauce so you can see how it thickens up and what it does and some of the things that you can do with it and how you can be creative with it. But once you know how to make roux, you can basically make any kind of sauce you want and be creative with it. I think my mom taught me how to make a roux. Not sure. I think she used to make Welsh rarebit when she started with a roux, and so it was sort of a cheesy sauce. But I took that and just added all sorts of things to it, and you can too. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And the first thing that we're going to do is actually make the roux, so the butter and flour mixture, and we're going to cook it down, and I'll show you how to do that and what it looks like, and then you'll be able to do it, and I'll show you how to add some stuff to it to make it a sauce. Okay, so the thing about cooking without recipes is that the amounts are sort of willy-nilly, and you have to kind of use other ways of figuring out what's the right amount besides a measuring stick or a teaspoon or a tablespoon or some other sort of measuring device. So I'm using a spoon here. I just have a pat of butter. It's probably about a tablespoon of butter, and I'm just going to throw that in a pan and heat it up. And once it melts, then I'm going to add about an equal amount of flour to butter. People talk about different ways to make roux and different measurements. I just use equal amounts, and it tends to work pretty well. Sometimes I need to cook it down a little bit more so that it's not too floury. That's one thing that can happen with sauces. If you put too much flour in, it will thicken, but it will taste floury if you don't cook it down enough. So you don't want your sauce to taste floury. That would be something to sort of be aware of as you're doing this, as you're playing around with this, that it could end up tasting too floury. You can also use a roux to thicken up a soup, and that's another place where you really don't want it to be too floury tasting. So don't use too much flour. I go with equal amounts. Sometimes you want to start with even less flour than fat and then add if you need to. You can always do that. Start with less and then add more. Okay, so I've got the butter melted here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of flour to this. I may need to add more. I'm going to whisk it together, and I'm going to show you what it looks like in a minute when I think I've got enough flour in there. I'm going to add just a touch more flour. I took my advice and I started with a little bit less to make sure that I didn't get it too floury. And then, oh, that's perfect. So I'm going to try to show you what this looks like, because this is where the sight piece comes in. It's really important. So it looks like that when it gets a little boily, and you want it to cook down a little bit. So leave it on the heat for just a little ways. Get that out of my way so I can get the full heat here. And once I've cooked it down, I can really add anything to it to make the sauce. Okay, here are some common things that people add to make the sauce. You can use wine is good. I use that especially when I make fondue or some sort of cheesy sauce. You could also put wine in with garlic and make a wine garlic sauce. You can use beer. That's great with a good cheese one. Beer makes a great one. Chicken broth, if you're looking for, or chicken stock, if you make a chicken or a turkey, this is how you would make gravy, or one way you can make gravy. And what I'm going to do today is use milk and just make a sort of a white sauce to start out with. So once my butter flour mixture has cooked down, all I do is add the liquid to it. I'm going to turn it down just a notch so it's not, right now it's really, really boiling. I don't want it to be boiling that much. And you'll be able to see it. It starts to thicken up pretty quickly. And there you go. Now you have a thickened sauce. Okay, so now you have sort of the base for whatever you want to make. You can put whatever you want in here. When I make a white sauce, I usually put some nutmeg in there. And then I make cheesy sauces a lot. I'm a big cheese person. So a lot of times I'll put cheese in there. Today I'm not going to put any cheese in. I'm just going to leave it a white sauce. I am going to put some nutmeg in because I almost always put nutmeg in. It just tastes really good. So just a little bit of nutmeg flavor in there. And then I like to smell it after I put in the nutmeg, make sure I didn't put too much in. If I did put too much in, I can always put some more liquid in there to sort of suck that up. That's perfect. And I'm going to do something. I messed around with this a long, long time ago when I was young and I didn't cook a lot, but I knew how to make this roux. I used to make quesadillas, and then I would make this white sauce and put chili paste in the white sauce to sort of spice it up. And I'm going to do that today. So I used to live on quesadillas, and then I would make this every now and then. I would make this white sauce with some chili paste in there. And I used to eat it with shrimp. So sort of shrimp quesadillas with white sauce and chili paste mixture. Sometimes I add salt, pepper, garlic. All of those things go good in sauces. But you can basically thicken up any kind of liquid that you want in using this method. I do a pretty unusual sauce with whiskey and cherries. That's really good. And that one is on my website, www.mypizzatoppings.com, and the sauces page. There's a page just for sauces, and the whiskey cherry sauce is there. I've used it on pizza, but it goes great with meat and other things too. So if that interests you, or you want to see how you can be a little more creative with sauces, go ahead and check that out. Thanks.